Everyone, this is Ricardo the Realtor here, walking the streets of Long Beach. We wish you guys the very best. I want to provide you with some valuable information. So today what we're going to talk about is the art of real estate, buying and selling simultaneously without the hassle. There comes a time in our lives when we feel like we simply need to move on from our nest, that is our home. For some, perhaps it's a change of profession, right? Or others, possibly a change in scenery, or maybe even as a means to escape or leave something behind. Let's face it, unless you're a millionaire or billionaire who is looking just to add onto your collection of homes, you are finding yourself right now in the predicament of buying and selling at the same time. It is indeed a mind-boggling task, my friends, one that requires an immense amount of effort, patience, and time. But fear not, my real estate nomads. There are tips and tricks to work your way through this strenuous process in order to come out on top, hassle-free, or as close as possibly to it. So number one, knowing the current market. Before you put yourself through this monumental task of searching for your new home or putting your current home up for sale, you must first know the current housing market in both areas that you're looking to buy. So as well as the area you're putting your current home up to sell, right? So one of the best concepts is to understand whether or not the market is suitable for the buyer or the seller. So doing so will give you the necessary knowledge that you'll need to strategize in your plan of action when it comes to both selling and buying, by understanding who exactly has the upper hand in the market. So when beginning to understand the current market of your homes you're looking to purchase, it would be in the best interest of the buyer to find multiple options in which they could call their new home. That is, in the circumstance that the purchase or deal would fall through, there are still those remaining potential homes to consider, right? So it also would not leave you stranded, staying with friends, renting, or holing up in a local motel, or in some situations a nice hotel. In the case of selling, it is always important to hire an appraiser to basically price your home fairly and accurately. To the sellers, their homes, it's easy to get caught up in the illusion that, you know, your home is worth much more than it really is. Sentimental value, memories, effort, and time put into your home, these are the things that could influence our idea of a price that you basically would have in your head. However, we must remember that we are not the experts at such things, and it would be the best interest to hire a third party that specializes in the pricing of real estate, like an appraiser. Would you really want to be stuck in paying a mortgage on a home for months on the market due to your stubbornness, or right in a fair value? Number two, forming a plan of action. Now comes the ultimate question. Should you buy or should you sell first, right? Both paths contain a certain amount of reward as well as some risk. For example, if you were to sell before buying, it would make getting a mortgage on your new home much easier. But it would also mean that you would need to find a temporary place to stay while searching for your new home. If you take the other path and decide to do it first, it would mean that the moving process would make it much easier. However, this action would make qualifying for a new mortgage harder, as well as juggling the difficulty of paying 2 monthly house payments. Whichever path you choose, plan accordingly and precisely, understanding the rewards and consequences of both. It's always important to keep in mind that plans can go very well, or they can go awry. Even if you feel you have the masterfully put it all together, maybe the buyer of your home is having trouble securing a proper mortgage and needs more time to negotiate, or vice versa. The home that you are trying to move into needs inspection before you can actually have the transition. Even in that circumstance where you sell your home first and decide to rent, there could be a possibility that you could end up paying double mortgages on the home that you have sold, as well as the home that you have purchased. It's always good to be prepared for even the worst possible scenarios, such as these things to think about. Number three, knowing your own financial situation. For the most part, movers are typically looking to sell first, and then the process is pretty straightforward. One of the only obstacles in this process is finding a place to rent out before moving into your newly purchased home. There is, however, one option you could take known as a rent-back agreement, where a seller negotiates with a lender and a buyer to remain in the property for 60 to 90 days, giving more time securing a new potential home. Often these negotiations come with drawbacks, such as a lower selling price or rent paid to the buyer of your old home. This option, however, gives the benefit of an easy and smooth transition by cutting out the middleman, okay? So allowing you to move simply from your older home to your new home. When it comes to buying, it is best to consult your realtor, right, RTR, to discover ways in which you can decrease your financial risk. Here are two most popular or more popular options for the buyer. Bridge loans. Have you guys dealt with those? Using a bridge loan gives the buyer the power to own two homes at once if he or she is not able to purchase a second home outright. Or put a large down payment. This is one of the better options to take if you're planning on selling your home and to use the proceeds to buy the second. A bridge loan essentially functions as a short-term loan that is intended to be repaid upon the sale of your old home. So, contract contingency. A buyer has the option to request that the purchase can be entirely dependent on the sale of their previous home. Be aware, however, that this option would not be a good idea when it comes to looking to buy in a competitive markets due to the risk of multiple buyers in the area, such as we have right now. This option is the best effect on areas where the competitiveness is low or the seller has trouble attracting buyers, something that's been on the market for a long time. In this situation, a contract contingency agreement could be the best interest of all parties involved. Number 4, know that you have time. Basically, if you find yourself a situation where your home is sold and you don't have a new place, don't let that fear or anxiety push you into making a bad purchase. It's always a good idea to plan a short-term rental during the process of selling a home. In other circumstances, the guy said he got it. In other circumstances, don't allow yourself to be pressured into settling on a bid that you think is too low simply because of the financial stress. Okay, so these are all things to think about. So when it comes to buying and selling homes, it is without a doubt very strenuous task, right? But however, carefully considering, planning and executing certain actions help to mitigate the entire process, putting you in such a much more comfortable situation. Looking back at the process of purchasing your first home seems like such an unreal world when it comes to transitioning into your second purchase. The risk of buying then and selling or vice versa should be heavily considered when moving throughout this process. Planning, being knowledgeable about the situation may very well put you at the top, hassle-free. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know of anyone, family, friends, neighbors that are even thinking about selling, do them a favor and introduce them to us, right? For all your real estate needs and more, call Ricardo the Realtor. All right, guys, have a great day. Love you. God bless. Stay safe.